Hey everybody, my name is Sky, this is Tony, and we will be talking about the Raw Vegan Phuket Retreat for 2026. Hey Tony!
Hello, Sky. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Yes. Now the topic for this week is not one size fits all. And I love this because I feel like so much is out there about this one program, this one way. If you don't do it like this, you've got it wrong. And I found it completely the opposite to that. Like God provides for all things that come.
Absolutely. But we're also going to dig into, I'll preface this because there is also, for me, these principles, these excuses, and we're going to dive into that as well. And you probably know that, Sky, because, we still got to have standards as well, so not one size fits all, but we can use our moral compass, our values, principles, alignment that will give you that true clarity and will distinguish between what's that and what isn't. So I want to dive into that as well, because I think on this path we can go, so I don't want to be too rigid. I'm going to go back to my old eating ways, and I fell into that. And I'm sure you have, Sky. There's been excuses I've made in the past just because I'm like, I just feel like having cheese, or, it's a special occasion. So I also don't want to judge at the same time because it's a process and it's not linear. So
Sure.
I just wanted to preface that.
Okay, so far I have never gone back. I had coffee. No, I did go back. So I did have coffee. That's not true. But I want to make it very simple here how I know that I'm still on a raw path. And the coffee is the one exception. And that is, and I say even when you get it wrong, you're still getting it right, is it can't be like I'm doing this all week and then Sunday night I have lasagna or pizza or whatever it is. And the reason being, the one true telltale sign for me on my raw journey is it has to feel good all the way through the system. Yes, sometimes things can come up, but generally I'm not putting on weight, I'm not getting lethargic, I'm not feeling sick. And if I start to do that with the raw foods, I recompass, but don't necessarily think the food's bad. It was like a lesson. Does that make sense? Like if something,
I love that.
Yeah, if something like if something is like, I need to listen to my body says lasagna or it says pizza, like, I mean, just Domino's or whatever pizza, it's not just the entrance where you get stimulated. You have to, the whole process is like a 12-hour to 24-hour process. If you always get bloated and digestive issues the next day after cheese, that is self-harm. That's what the universe was telling me when I was eating, is you can eat the carrot and the celery and the nuts because as it goes through you, you're still moving forward. That was like a big message. And I think no matter when I've done juicing, high fat, low fat, keto, I'm doing like a keto juicing right now. So it's always changing, but as it goes through, it's never harming me.
Absolutely. I love that because that gives you, I do feel we need parameters in place. We need to know the consequences, because when we're really in tune with our body, and this is what we teach, we're teaching your own inner guidance system to become much more clear, and you get that on this path. And I think naturally that will come. It might not feel that at first. That's why we're talking about this not one size fits all initially, because what happens, there's a process that we need to, if we're too rigid, if we're too comparing, it can actually can hold us back, and we just go back to what's familiar. And it seems like a common, I think we've all done it, we all go through it. I've been back and forth, but to really help you from those that have gone through it, to save you that suffering, the pain, just know that there's seasons. There is a process, and we just need to embrace that each day is a lesson, and we'll help you on this. This is what this topic. I love this topic because I think you and I have talked about it and touched on it in other lives. Is that we can get so fixated on one particular way. So I'll give you an example. When I went raw, I thought it was the ultimate was always fruit. So my goal was, I just want to be fruit. And because I had no excuses, because I was in the tropics, I was like, you have to go fruit only. You have to be a fruitarian. Again, those words, remember, words are powerful. Have to, have to. I put a lot of pressure on myself because I was in, people were like, oh, you're in the tropics. You can make this work. So I felt stress already. I could feel my body just resisting it, even though fruit was abundant. But I was pushing. I did fall into where there were periods it was easy, but there was resistance. It was like when I started with high raw, I never wanted to be fully raw. And I'm glad I listened to myself, because it's not until I did the cleanse, the 40-day juice cleanse, that actually amplified or reconfirmed I'm going, no, I am going to, not reconfirmed, actually, I was like, I'm going raw. And I had some feelings. Could I go raw? I was like, but I like some of the cooked foods, and I was having daily cooked food, or at least 4 or 5 times a week. My dinner was a cooked meal, and I didn't want to let go. But as you go on this path, when I started to see that's a form of addiction. The cooked was actually halting. I felt personally on my journey, the cooked was actually holding me back a little bit, and I kind of knew. I was like, okay, let's experiment. But I could never let it go. It was a comfort for me. But I did a few raw days, and I was like, this feels good. And the fact that I could do it gave me a boost in confidence. And then it was not until the 40-day juice cleanse was like, wow. So good, get those callings. I think what happens is, if you take your time, really tune in, and time's so subjective. It doesn't have to be years. It can even just be a few days, a few weeks. But in time, once you connect and listen and actually just tune in with your own body signals, it can shift quite quickly. So that's what happened to me. And that's why we're saying not one size fits all. And now both of us, we're doing a lot of mixture, more omega-3s. We're doing more fats. I'm feeling the call too. I talked about fats, low fat for a long time. I did 80-10-10. But in this season of my life right now, I want more fats. I enjoy my fats. I still have probably more. I still have a big chunk of fruits. Most of my day is full of fruits, but I do enjoy now omega-3s in my smoothie bowls. And I'm having salads with more green juices. I'm really loving this phase, this period. It's different, but I like it.
I loved hearing that. And I think hearing your true voice is the hardest thing in a world where in a split second your brain can look up something and it can look up 10 different options, and you've just honed in on one of them. But the other point I wanted to bring up is, there is a safety in cooked food and fruitarian, for example, and I'll speak from my experience. So I said, how you know if something serves you is as it goes through, you feel good. Like you feel completely good. And you're aware that if you have the pizza or whatever, you don't feel good. Like that's a very basic level. And that basic level may get you onto cooked whole foods, where you're like, you think at the time, oh, this feels good all the way through because that felt bad. That's just that like comparison. But as you go on and you have raw, fresher food, you're like, I'm noticing that the fresher makes me feel better. And I think the way you can get in tune with your intuition is to never shut out that voice because of scientific data or because of something you read. So as you notice for a period of time, fruit is amazing, right? And then you notice how much better you feel with greens. Does that mean greens are better? For that time of your life, they are. For the next, 2 months' time, it may be you're like, oh, I feel better with the watermelon or whatever it is. And that discerning voice is yours and nobody else's. And it's definitely worth getting in tune with something like that as you go along your journey, because that is the one thing that's always going to be with you. And when I got into I was like you, it's fruit, but I feel like I was feeling safe in there, as in this is going to solve all my problems. And that's there's these different stages, right? So the first stage is that you're doing probably more whole foods, and you've found the raw food lifestyle, and this is how you got to get onto raw, and cooked doesn't serve you. And then this fruitarian thing is like, well, I'm not there yet, but I feel so good. This is gonna fix fix the world. And when you realize that there's different levels and different experiences and different ways, and you have different lessons to learn in the raw kingdom, I think that is the that to me is the acceptance stage of raw food. I feel like it's
good.
like,
No pressure, no stress, and we want to live this life with much more love, kindness, compassion. It's not rigid and rules. It's a place where we can really utilize this, especially the feminine energy of flow and listening to what our body is truly calling us to. And with that said, is the difference is, what about, like we shared, these principles in place within that. What I find is my moral compass, my ethics are so strong. It's always vegan. That was always my true self. And now, because of the raw, it's got to be as much whole foods, because of how it makes me feel, because my principles are so strong. And once you get that cemented, there's no going away from that. But that is also a process as well. Morals, clarifying. For me, it's got to be a win-win. And I took this as a really good indicator for how I want to live my whole life, in many ways, win for everybody as much as I can. It's not just about me, because we're all living because even win for others, I want to be the best I can be, so that others feel safe in my presence and they feel understood. I want that kindness to everyone, myself, animals, even the environment, as best as I can. And for me, vegan and even raw, because people are going to get the best of me, because I feel the best when I eat raw. When I eat cooked, I don't feel as good. I really don't. With the some lightly cooked veggies, maybe. I'm not saying to everybody, because I know some of my clients, they do well on that, and I did for a period of time, and maybe I'll have the odd steamed pumpkin, but ultimately, and again, I'm not even rigid on that. If that happens, I want to support that feeling, but I'm so in my moral compass of where my morals stand, so I don't venture out of that. But not to say it's not judging. It's just a moral line. That's all it is. That's how I move for me. And that's how I uncover and shed with my clients. We look at, okay, let's look at how we can make it work, because when we get into the values, it does make things easier for people to move through this process. Like you don't want to get so sick. When you get sick, then you're coming away from your values, you're coming away from your principles. So if you get clear on those, your whole life path in everything I do now, is most ways, I reconnect to that compass. And that's where your inner guidance makes it easier, because you're staying true to who you are and your truth.
Yes. So what I was going to say is, I went vegan for the animals. I worked hard in hospitals to eat food which at that time, for me, on all these psychiatric meds, had no flavor. All you want is to feel something. But I went raw for me. And I think inside everybody, nobody wants an animal to be harmed. When you're connected to your true you want what's best for the planet, you want what's best for animals, you want what's best for nature, you want what's best for yourself, because they come from you. But very much so was that, to me, they're very different. Like one is always, I feel like you could never, I mean, I guess some people do it, but to me, it's just the next level for me. But I did want to talk about how different, I want to talk about my stages, because in actual fact, being raw, if I went and ate cooked, I have the knowledge that will make me sick. And that's why I never go back and never try
it. And experience, not just knowledge, it's experience.
Yeah,
you felt
I can't, like, that suffering is just unbearable. But when I get sick on this journey, physically sick, which I assume is a lot of emotional trauma just locked up, repeating itself with old symptoms, it's this opportunity to learn what I need to know, like the wounded healer. Everything I teach, bestow in podcasts and reels and shares and with my clients and at our retreat is because I've experienced it. And I've had quite a unique journey. I think we all have. I'm thinking about you. We have. So I went raw, and it completely changed my life, just eating anything that had no heat going through my system. And that was nuts, seeds, I think even a bit of fermented food, veggies, fruit, a little bit of seasoning, salt and pepper. And when I when I was started to go along, I started to let go of what wasn't serving me, as in like the estrogen wasn't serving me anymore, giving me histamine reactions, salt, pepper. What else did I let go of? Spice.
Okay, yeah.
And then I ended up on veggies and a little bit of fruit still. And then I did fruit for 2 years. Now, during that time, I had no symptoms. I got better and better. My blood test showed that I was better and better. And after, how long was that? That was then after 3 years, that's where I went too far. And that's when I had to have a lot of greens and a lot of nuts and seeds. And what else did I have? That was what my body was calling. It was hard to digest, get it back in, but I got all my minerals and salts back to normal. I then juiced after shingles, and that got me up from shingles. And then there was more greens. And what happened next? And then I feel like I found the omega-3s, and I do more high fat now. And I feel like that's what suits me.
So. Yeah, and it can, like I say, it can shift. And I feel you've got to experiment and see as seasons. Like if you are in the cold as well, and you are really struggling, just especially in that initial phases, maybe some people do feel called they want to go raw because they've seen your journey, how sick you was, and they want to heal themselves. But it might even just be inspiration for some people. People come to me for the inspiration side, but they're not quite fully embodied it yet. And I wasn't. It took a dark period emotionally to shift that, but it was still out of inspiration more so than desperation. And even if you feel called to just more whole raw foods is way better. Just integrate it more and more. And I think your body, if you become more in tune, intuitive, again, not excuses. I have to preface the difference between listening to your body and making excuses, because there are excuses out there. But if you really are in alignment and going by principles rather than excuses, you will be on the path of very that's James. He's just put the value for life will always be real in moral contradiction and philosophical inconsistencies. It's everywhere. Do you know the amount? It's messy. If we look at the whole confusion of even just nutrition, the contradictory information out there, the studies that have been manipulated, like we talked earlier, I've seen firsthand the manipulation and all I do is, for me, every day when I connect to my heart, I know I don't want to contribute to harm in any way, harm to animals, or as much as I can. So I live my life with just much win for me, win for others, win for animals, win for the environment as best as I can. I do not want to contribute to suffering. When we see the animals, I'm not in this topic today going about the atrocities that happen, the cruelty that happens in animals when we eat animals and we use these for food. The exploitation is primitive, barbaric, unnecessary. We do not need to eat animals. So I'm not going to contribute to that. And by doing that, we do contribute to it. Second, and it's not until you see it and see the truth, the sinister, the satanic involvement within eating animals. I want to stay away from that. And so for me, I want to go back to nature as much as I can. And I just look at elephants, I look at rhinos, I look at all the plant-based eaters. A lot of them, they've got this strength, but beauty and calmness. I want to emulate. I want to be as much in my kindness and love. And for me, when I connect to my heart, I don't want to cause any unnecessary suffering. And like you said, when it's raw, the raw is the path for me, for my emotional growth especially. And it
Mm.
stopped, like it healed you, and it healed me. I can hands down, it was one of the biggest contributors to my healing of binge eating. That for me was the biggest hurdle, I would say, in my 20s and 30s. Binge eating, comfort eating was a real struggle for me. It suppressed me. And when I went to raw, that opened up. I just don't do it. I don't do it now. Get rid of this one.
Yeah. I'm just going through. Sorry, I'm pulling them. So I wanted to talk on. So someone said, "Is your hair dye vegan?" I am pretty sure all of the dye is, but I think the products that wash it out with aren't. And I think they're not tested on animals or anything like that. And I want to share something where, and I guess it's my decision, but I was getting it all vegan, and it was $600 to have my hair done. Now it's $80. No, $180. And the other thing is mobile phones and cars. Yes, I've sold my car, but mobile phones, if you have a mobile phone, there's a chip in it which is affected. How I judge is what I do is how do I navigate with doing the least harm on this planet. I almost feel, and I have to, the way the planet is. And it's funny. I guess it's not funny that you ask it. That's a fair question to ask. Everything I do, and there was even one moisturizer which is not tested on animals, but there is a product which is not tested on animals, but I think came from honey on the line, not in the product I use, but on that line. But it's because I was so reactive. I had to start with a moisturizer my body already knew, and go from there. And so there's circumstances where, and plus any medications that anybody uses. So that's why you've got to look after yourself. I didn't say 100% vegan in your eyes. I'm 100% vegan in my eyes. Every person who has a mobile phone, that means there's no vegans really.
No, yeah, and that's what James was saying. You know, we're not here to be perfectionists. I mean, I don't even color my hair.
Sorry, I misread that. Yeah.
No, he wasn't saying that. He was saying, but yeah, I do all we're doing is doing our best.
Yes.
And I'm always looking at refining. If I'd already bought, like especially when I went first vegan, I just stopped buying future vegan, but what I had in, what I already, like clothes wise or makeup or things like that, was not vegan,
Yes.
not cruelty free. But from moving forward, once those are gone, I mean, some things I just did get rid of and got a whole new makeups and everything. But yeah, for me, I'm always tweaking, I'm always refining, I'm always looking, and you're learning all the time. So it just doesn't happen overnight. There's so much, and that's why we don't want this, all or nothing mindset. But yeah, I didn't know if that hair color was for you or me, but I don't color my hair. I've not colored my hair in 15, 20 years, I think. I only used to have a couple of highlights, and that probably wasn't vegan, but I've been vegan 15 years and stopped. And that's why I think I did stop coloring. Actually, it was before then, so maybe 20 years ago. Wow.
Actually, one of my only pet peeves, I don't know whether I've ever brought this up, is I actually have some shoes which aren't vegan, which I got before I went vegan, and I've held on. They're hanging on by a thread because I keep looking for vegan options. And I found in Australia, Cotton On, if you're in Australia, because everyone's like, where did you get that? Cotton On, and Zara has even like knits in the winter, which are made from a polyester from plants.
Yeah.
And that's not too expensive, okay? So if I search for something, and when something bothers me, I usually think, well, I should do something about this, is that I'll search for a pair of black pants that are vegan or black shoes, and I'm not necessarily I'll mine through. I'm not necessarily attracted to it, and then buy like a vegan boutique. They're so expensive. I'm like, I'm just going to hang on to the old ones until they fall apart and deal with it. In fact, on the shoe topic, in Cotton On in Australia, they have a shoe brand in there. It's vegan, called Ruby. Really cheap, amazing. Most of my flats, but I just want one pair of heels. Anybody out there who knows some well-costed vegan, just a nice pair, I would love it. I find that bothers me, that off the back of trying to do something good, there's a lot of companies that are charging that, and that's probably one of my, I don't get like up about things, but I'm like that.
Yeah. They fall apart, James said. Yeah. Oh no, I've got some great ones I've had for years. They're still
me too.
this climate and humidity. I paid only about £50, and they've lasted like 10 years. And I got all over in my feet shoes. They're really the little toes. I wear them for everything. I always use them. Yeah, they're great. But yeah, you can. I think, like I said, it's doing your best. It's not. People will go, you are fully vegan, because I remember when Fully Raw Christina got on their shoes, but I think she did make a mistake. She didn't delve deeper into these products. So, but as an influencer, I think there's a lot of pressure. But we all sometimes get blindsided and buy things out of necessity. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but we do. I think we have to be conscious, but also not. Most shoes squish the toes. Yeah, I don't wear a lot of shoes.
I think that is another thing besides the food is if you're angry all the time, you're going to attract a lot of anger and negativity, and your self-talk is very negative. So if you don't choose to see the good choices people are making out there, like there's an influencer and I'm loving this. He's a big influencer and I can't remember his name, and he's over on TikTok. He just got banned on Instagram, and he's into protein, but he's like, well, I'm going to eat more animal protein. He goes, I'm not vegan, but why? I'm questioning why, and this is how it starts, why animals should suffer for my gains. And he's in his 20s, he's getting so much crap, but the more crap he gets, he just gets really inspired to do it. And I don't know where I'm going with this. I got very excited about the change. I can't even remember about the changes people make.
Well, that's selfish. For me, right, that's very unattractive. I really want to be around people that are actually kind and doing their best. If someone is just saying I just do it for my own selfish gains, I'm like, oh, I can't even be around people. Like when people just say, I love animals, but for health-wise, I'm like, but there's space if people can. Right, I'm going to be quite direct, and sometimes I am. People are lazy and sloppy. We're sloppy thinkers. We just want what's easy. We want quick gains, quick results. So they'll do whatever it takes. But for me, it's like this is where the pharma industry is massive. The pharmaceutical are making millions. The animal industry is making millions off your health and everything else. If you can take the time to investigate all different, like we talked about, within this space, even veganism, within raw, you will find something that works for you. Even if it's for a period of time, you might have to shift, you might have to, hormones change, life stresses come in place where deficiencies happen. That's life. Life is just not like this. It's up and down. You have to adapt. I've always felt I will always, like I said, my moral compass, if I stick with my moral compass, I will make something work. I have a really good friend, absolutely loves animals, helps me in the rescue work, has gone back to eating animals because he, for now, feels better on animals. He said, this is my season. I just want to fruit. He was just sticking to fruit only. And I'm like, well, there'll be something within the raw lifestyle, all the vegan lifestyle that you will make work if you are ready. And like anything, when you're new to something, it takes time. It takes some research. It takes testing and experimenting. You will find that within that, something that works. When people just stick to one thing and think that's it, I don't like that mindset personally, or I'm not supportive and in resonance in that mindset. So I get that's my strong value is someone's fixed mindset. And I talk about this in my ebooks. If you have got a bit of flexibility, open-minded, then that's very attractive to me. It's a great way to live your life with reason of standards, like moral, principles. But that's my personal opinion on it. We studied science at university, and there's so many contradictions and within nutrition. And so for me, just to move through my life, to make it easier for me, I stand with a win-win for as much as I can for everybody. We're getting a lot of questions.
I what
Oh, I like
okay,
that,
so
James.
yeah,
James is
okay.
as well.
So what I want to say first off about what you said is the reason I never get too upset about people is I swear I was blind, and you spoke about pharmaceuticals, until the chemicals were out of my food. So the year I went paleo, this is how I went vegan. So the year I went paleo, on my plate there was nothing processed. Plus I'd been very medicated, so I don't think I was thinking straight anyway. So now there's no pharmaceuticals in my system, but there's no processed food. And by the end of that year, I feel like midway, I probably got rid of all the processed food. By the end of that year, it was so apparent on my plate that even cooked veggies, nuts and seeds, and a meat dish, the meat looks so wrong that my consciousness could question. So I feel like I can yell at people, but when you are in a different reality, you could have yelled at me back then, and it would it would not be the same. Like I would not be able to take it. I couldn't, but I was very sick, so I don't know. But I also wanted to say this example about the shoes. Okay, so this is it okay to buy old shoes and leather if that animal is already sacrificed and that product needs to be used? So my theory on that is if you buy it, you create a demand. If you create a demand, more people will buy it. It starts, you think it has no effect, but this shop will notice that these shoes got sold. Another person walks past, oh, they're old. So all the vegans are buying all the old leather, which just affects higher up how much people consume, and these shops start seeking and sourcing and paying more people for their old vegan shoes. On the other hand of that, where I'm saying, if you think about what is best for the situation, if you are pretty much homeless, you can't afford anything, and you have a child who needs some sort of shoe or something just to keep warm at night, then in my opinion, I would be like, what is old and can be used? But that it's all about looking at it through what you're affecting on the greater scale, and that's how I see that comment.
It will never end. When there's a demand, like you said, there's a demand, it will always be in. So I am about eradication as best as we can. It's like with my friends doing free range eggs and things like that. I said, well, if that's still going to continue, you'll always have the shadow. You'll always have the people still want to buy it. Well, so I look into, let's just eradicate. It's unnecessary. It's like someone just written about, who was it? So Jason said about avid hunter, I own and manage a good set. I just don't think that's necessary. I mean, you might argue that because you're saying that it's the balance of population, but what about, have you looked into other ways of actually management of that? 90% of the meat my family eats yearly comes from the game I harvest. Yeah, I did go to South Africa, and there was management of, again, it's another, I feel we
yeah, so do I.
You know where I'm going.
We look to justify not being vegan, whereas it's like, if this was true, is everything else in your life you'd be doing vegan except what you have to do. Like, I feel like there's this, and it happens when people go raw, and it's a good topic to talk about, is this is why I don't spend a lot of time answering and going through things like this, because someone will be like, I can't eat raw, for example, because of oxalates, and I go and clear up the oxalate journey. Well, I can't eat this because of the mold. So I go to this great extents to explain, and it will go on and on and on. And it's definitely not my job. And this is why I've made it. It's my job to speak my truth, and whoever that resonates with and hits chords with and changes their life, I love that. But I swear, if this was true about the population, everything else in your life would be vegan up until this point, and you're doing that last step for the planet. And if you're doing everything vegan, eventually you'll find a way. That's my take on it.
We always want to justify it. But good question. James has also asked about, well, if the world became 100% vegan, what do we do with the non-vegan products? Well, they wouldn't be made.
That's it, eventually.
The goal would be, it's not going to happen overnight.
But my question is, why jump to these questions? Like, why not just do your little part now? I don't even say I'd love people to go completely vegan, but it's like people spend energy on these, using their energy and their brain power to ask questions, when you could tonight just use that energy to order a piece of tofu instead. You know, and we're not saying that you have to change right there and then, but the energy that's spent in justifying staying is exhausting, and I just don't go there. because there's factual analysis. That's fine, but we're not everybody. You've got to make a change. You can't expect everyone and being like in a herd to be instantaneous. You have to be the leader. That's what we do, is we get up and we do what's different because we believe in it. Anyway, I've gone off there. I don't usually get in these conversations.
Back to within, let's go within like this. How I just feel there's seasons for with the foods that we're eating. Let's bring it back to this. We don't need to go back to
I don't know how we got there. Okay. Yes. So I have done, when I think of raw foods, just raw foods, is I have done it so differently. But there's been tipping points where I have been in bed and had to go through where, I'll give you an example. I had shingles. Okay. I thought raw food would always have an answer and be the answer. And I would just do, as long as I did fruit, I would be fine. And then I got shingles when I was basically doing just watermelon and grapes. And then once I got shingles, because shingles was across my rib and my stomach, and I don't even have a stomach, I could barely even digest that food. And I got to a point where I could not really juice because I didn't have a stomach. But at that time, learning to juice through those 2 months of shingles, by the end, I could tolerate some juice to a point where if I ate anything, I couldn't get up. The chronic fatigue was so bad after shingles. And I would put juice in. And within 9 days, I was back at Pilates. I did juicing it. And so did I have to suffer? Yes, but I never gave up on the belief that their answer was in raw foods. And I feel like raw food has taught me that from day one, the power it holds.
Yeah, I love juicing. I love it because I love fasting, any form of like cutting out, bypassing the digestion, and also just cutting out the noise and getting clarity. Very for spiritual and cleaning out. I really love it. I think that can shift, because like I said, we can catapult our process if we're focusing on health and more raw foods, feeling better. Then you can do many protocols, like different things, like fasting, like juice cleansing. I felt juice cleansing for me personally, and with many of my clients, really catapults their journey into healing with bypassing the digestion. Either if they're on a spiritual journey, emotional healing, or physical healing, it really has a significant for me. I've seen it. I've done a lot of John Rose's work, and Dr. Robert Morse talks about it. I've just seen so many people go through a wonderful, deep healing experience, and I recommend it all the time. I just love it. You both look identical.
I do. I say to my parents, because I talk about Tony, and I'm like, out of everybody in the raw community, I knew from the start that Tony and I were really similar. I think we're about the same height. We both got blonde hair. We both got the European or the English accent, and we both very similar mannerisms.
Yeah.
So I loved my juice experience. And I thought that was a great tool to help me, but I did end up with some blood sugar issues. Now, not everybody's going to get that. I am missing my stomach, so my blood sugars go through the roof, and I have to be careful. But I think I wanted to get back on it, or have something that I have as safe. And it's been 2 years, and it was around this period I was juicing 2 years ago. But now, becoming off the back of keto, is I'm seeing that veggie juices, just all the green juices and some nut milks, seem to have got my ear. I feel like I'm not as bad as the shingles, but I had been in a bit of a rut with just wanting to give my body a break and not having the tool, but I never gave up. I was never like, well, I can't empty my body, so now I'll eat meat, which I would feel good instantly because of I probably wouldn't, because of my guilt would be horrible, but you're taking hormones. They stimulate your adrenals, so you've got to be careful as to what you think is going to work for you. But I feel like God makes me work so I become stronger. Like off the back of all I've done in the raw thing, I've just gotten stronger.
Yeah, I love this path. It works for us, and not everyone feels this not everyone right now will feel like this, because it's a journey. But I must say, everything is felt now instead of suppressing. I felt like the denser cooked foods, non-vegan foods really held me back in many ways. And I'm so attention to detail of how I feel, my nervous system so freaking self-aware. I feel like this is the path for me. And I do experiment with different, like I was very much into the cleansing for years. I did a lot of deep cleansing, and I've shared that journey with all my juicing, all my fasting, and I stripped away a lot. I'm in the building phase now. I'm back to, because I went through a period of building and I really gained a lot of strength and just a lot of mental strength. And then I went back into like the fasting and the cleansing. Now I'm really back into the building. I'm loving my calisthenics. I'm loving, just eating more, a little bit more denser foods and not the lighter foods. But I feel great. It's different this time because I always lived on, because used to do a lot of exercise. I was very heavy on my carbs and fat, all mixtures. Then when I went vegan and did the cleansing, I was eating a lot less, but I had, it was necessary for that period of time. So that's why we're sharing, like, there are times when that really calls and is in resonance. And for years, I really felt so good. And then like now, it feels very good to be eating more heavy, like I say, less fruits, more heavier foods. I think it's 50-50 at the moment. And I do go through phases, like our cycles. We've talked about our cycles, like some of the month, it's much lighter for me. Like right now it's very light foods, but then I go in for a week or two with much heavier, but still my strength, what I do with movement is, it's just really feels really good. I'm in a really good space with that now. So I think there's a place and time for all of these experimentations, see how you feel. But within that, you can make, I believe, what we're really emphasizing is within the raw, you can make it work. Some, there'll be, like I said, just don't be so rigid on fixating. Like say, there's people in this space who are just fruitarian, and that is the ultimate. That's where we should be. Even liquidarian. Breatharian. That's for some people. That's where it is. That's where they are aiming for. But for me, right now, like I shared before, when I went vegan, I was always just going to be high raw, but never fully raw. I'm fully raw now. Who knows what's going to happen? Right now, fully raw is working for us. We're so in love with it, and we're seeing great results with our clients. And it's a path of definitely least resistance.
I also think what I notice when people are like, there are definitely many ways people can get rid of symptoms. Okay, because people are like, why not carnivore, or why not whatever people bring to the table. And what I say, and this is what I felt when you've had this transformation, you have something which no other lifestyle had ever given me, including cooked vegan or whole food vegan or what else? Paleo. And that is enlightenment. You see all these people who are raw vegans creating these channels, and over time it gets more and more about spirituality and connection. And I've never seen any carnivores do it. And that, I don't need that, but it's something that people out there ask quite often. Why this and why not something else? The person I become when I eat raw food in any way it's like saying it's my true self. It's like finally meeting the person I wish I had with me my whole life. And that is a gift beyond gift, because I think if you've lived in this world long enough, you realize, well, I look back over my life and I was very sick, but even when I was a little kid, you're jumping from stimulation to stimulation. You never actually want to live. You're like, because the only time I was really well was when I was a kid. No, in my teens, I was well for a period. And it's always go, 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 and never sit and listen. And I can sit with just the food on a beach for hours. Now, with someone with ADHD who needed stimulants all day, SSRIs, had been in psychiatric units, that's impossible. Yet give me some fruit or give me some salad and I will just, that's all I need for the day. I feel connected into nature, and you probably don't even need that, but that's where I'm at. And I've never felt anything like it. in my entire life. And I think the other thing I wanted to say is about the retreat that we're hosting is we want you to find your one size fits. You might be, the tropics, I want to do fruit all day. You might be like, I want to do it denser in the morning and go lighter throughout the day. I may want to wake up with a juice. And I think in an environment which is like that, like which is very natural, which is, where I feel we at one stage we're thriving as humans, you will get more in tune with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's summarize, but also talk about the retreat as well, because what we're talking about also brings into the experience of the retreat that we're holding in April where I live. I'm in Phuket, Thailand. Been living here 9 years. I'm pretty much a local. Soidika. Sabadi mai.
What does that mean? Can you teach me? Maybe we need Thai lessons before you get me over there.
It's hello, how are you? Soidika, sabadi mai.
Oh my God, I don't even know what you just said. I'm going to have to break that up. Look at I had to break it up for me, like, Sudeka.
And we're going to be holding, 7-day, fully raw, vegan retreat, gourmet, fruit. You can just do fruit. You can do the whole experience, which is, it's just great food. We've got a raw vegan chef from Dubai coming. He's incredible. I'm Yorkshire. I'm a Yorkshire girl, but been living in Thailand. I've been coming 15 years, but lived here in full-time 9 years. I was hoping my accent would dilute, but it's still strong. So we're going to be holding this beautiful retreat with a raw vegan chef. We're going to hold workshops. It's really about resetting, relaxing, connecting. We will have movement, beach. I mean, we're staying on the beach, but we've got lots to offer, which you can take part in. But there's also, for you to choose what you'd like to do. But there's a lot of experiences. I'm from Newcastle. Is it Geordie? I love Geordies.
That's really funny because we have a Newcastle here in Australia, because we're in Australia. We're like little England, right? So every time something's said we have it here, probably just, might even be on a bigger scale, but we have Newcastle. But I know you're not talking about Australia.
Much nicer weather, but at least you get good season. Like the trouble with England, especially the north, is it's always cold. We only really get 2 months of the year, hit and miss, sprinkled in of sun. For me, I'm warm. But you're gonna get the sun, you're gonna get the beach, you're gonna get the good vibes, the high energy. 2 pools. It's a boutique resort, and it's got lots of activities. There'll be sound healing, there'll be yoga, movement, lots. I help the street dogs, so we'll have opportunities to meet a lot of the rescue dogs if you wish to do that. And just a lot of relaxed time, workshops, learning about this lifestyle, how to regulate your nervous system. So it's going to be really exciting. So that's April 18 to the 24th in Phuket, Thailand. All that information is down below, and you'll see that link, what Sky will put up. And if there's any questions on the retreat, just reach out to us. My email's on there as well if you are curious. We have only 6 spots left. So meet and greet with rescue dogs. Yay, I've got lots of rescues and they're great.
Well, plus you get to meet and greet us, right? You get to hang out with us.
But dogs are the best. Dogs are the best. But I rehomed quite a few dogs this month, so it's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster, bittersweet. I get super attached, and then they get rehomed, and some of them I see again, some of them I don't. But it's such a bittersweet. But you'll get to experience life in Phuket, the tropics. It's a wonderful experience. I'll teach you some Thai, and I'll
teach you some dance moves. I'll teach you some. I'll shake it off.
There's some live music, and we have drum circle where we can play some drums. Can do some acro yoga, partner up and do some partnering of yoga. It's really fun.
I'm gonna try find Chef Garish's
his food
page, just so we can show you guys like what raw vegan there is. I'll link his page over. Let me see. Share screen. Where is he there? Share. And then add to stage. Oh gosh, he's got even more up there. Look at that. Oh, that's the one you made. The burger.
Oh, it's so good.
And then what else has he got going on there? This is all. Where's his burgers?
Yeah.
This all looks good.
I know.
Look at that dessert. What is this?
I'm going to get him to do a really good tiramisu. I'm not into coffee. I don't drink coffee at all, but the tiramisu, I wonder if he can make a really... I tried a raw one in Chiang Mai, and it was huge, a raw tiramisu, and it was divine. So good.
So did it have coffee in your raw tiramisu?
I think so, because you can get raw coffee. So I went to a farm up in Chiang Mai, that was a cow and coffee bean farm. And I didn't try the coffee there, but there was sherry. Yeah, they do put raw coffee. So yeah, I assume
it's green, isn't it? It's green I'll have a look after this. I'm pretty sure it's actually green in color. It's a much bitterer.
Yes, but I don't know too much about coffee because I'm not passionate. I'm not into coffee.
Yeah, so there's pizza, and he has this big board where he does like all little tastings, all Indian.
Oh yeah, that looked good. With the leaves.
Each bite, it all looks good. So excited, and there'll be durian and jackfruit and.
Yeah, it's durian season, so if you've never tried durian before, it's definitely an experience. Okay. Yay. Final words. Any last questions before we leave?
Let me see. I'm actually. Do you know what? As I know, we got into the whole vegan conversation, but I'm actually very proud or inspired by people who aren't vegan that stay. Like, I think that like learning about who you are or listening to other people, or it's like there's different stages and different steps, right? So.
No judgment. There's no judgment. Yeah, I just we were born, like, I wasn't born vegan, my whole family, even my family aren't vegan. It's just a path that I evolved into and connects with my heart more than anything else. So for me, it's everyone's at a different stage in their journey. Might be totally. I think I love those that are open, like you said, the fact that some of these are here and they're just listening, even if they disagree. It's good. It's fine to do that, but it's the fact that you're still here and you're listening. And I don't want to ever shut anyone down. I feel we all have our reasons, and I'm on the path of, at least, if I can show compassion to you, I'm going to show compassion to everyone. It's the way I want to live my life. I do at times get a little hurt with certain attitudes, but then I just don't surround myself with them.
That's right. And that is bringing this all to an end today. We'll be back next week. But in the meantime, the retreat website is up. Make sure you get your spot so you can dance, eat, sound, yoga, and move.
Yeah, and connect. So every Tuesday we come live in here. So same time next week. Hope to see you there.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, the dog at the end. I love it.